What is fair value? How can you know whether something's overbought? How do you know when something's oversold? How do you know what's a good time to enter? How do you know what's a good time to exit? We're already, guys, in the fifth episode. Can't believe it. The fifth episode of Crypto Class, and nobody's watching it. Nobody cares. So potentially this could be the last episode. But anybody that has been watching it, guys, I know that you've been commenting. I know that you've been active. I know that you've been doing your bit. So this is not a dig at you guys, but ultimately, people just want to see calls. People just want to see pure raw data. If that's what the community wants, guys, unfortunately, that's what I'm going to have to give the community. So we're going to see how this one does. If I get more than 300 views, guys, I'm going to do another one next week. But this is going to be the RSI. But to recap what we've learned so far, we've learned what is trading, how you can read and understand a Japanese candlestick, how you can apply support and resistance to your chart, how you can use candlestick patterns to your advantage in real time to understand when there's going to be a reversal at resistance or at support. Then we've added in the stochastic RSI to give you an additional filter to know when something's overbought or oversold. So you've got your support, you've got your resistance, you know your candlestick patterns, and this one's going to be one of my favorite indicators, which is the relative strength index. So firstly, anybody that is watching this video for the first time, go back and watch the first 4 videos, because remember, they do follow one. I've tried to create a structure here, guys, to help as much as possible for the guys that are willing to self-develop and the guys that are willing to learn, to help you read a price chart, understand a price chart, more importantly, get an edge in the market by understanding clues, by looking at certain things, looking at the right things. So we're going to be talking about the RSI in this video. And another thing, I want 300 views going into next week by next Monday on this video. Otherwise, this is going to be the final episode of Crypto Class. And it's not a dig at you guys, because I'm getting about 100 views on these videos and I'm getting 3,000 or 4,000 views on my other videos. And I promise you now, it isn't a dig at you, because I know that you guys are the most dedicated, the ones that are watching Crypto Class, and that's why I've been continuing to do it and giving it a try, are the ones that have got a higher probability of success, because you're self-developing yourself. You're trying to understand exactly what it is that you're getting into, how you can protect yourself, how you can minimize your risk, how you can maximize your reward. So make sure you watch the first 4 videos, because otherwise this one's not going to click as much. This one is the RSI. So what is the RSI? It's a momentum oscillating indicator. Momentum measures, in this instance, the buy-in and sell-in pressure, and an oscillating indicator is something that goes up and down in a range. Remember the stochastic RSI in the previous video? That's an oscillating indicator. So the bottom of the range on the RSI is 0. The top of the range on the RSI is 100. Now, anything above 70 is overbought, and anything below 30 is oversold. So that's one way that you can use it to your advantage. You know when something's overbought, whether something's oversold. But you know me, guys, price action's king. I'm a price action trader. I get clues from real-time price action and candlestick patterns. So I use these in conjunction with that, and you can add weight and you can add thesis and you can add filters to help understand whether your thesis is correct. Basically giving yourself higher probabilities. So momentum, guys, it measures average gains and average losses over a period of time. The default setting on the RSI is a 14 period, so it measures a 14 period. Some traders go into the default settings and change that to a 7 period. What would that do? It would measure a shorter range. What does that mean? It means it's more volatile, but more real time. So I keep mine on a 14. So this is the default settings on mine. And that's what the RSI looks like, guys. This is the line here, underneath here, that's oversold. Above here, that is overbought. So what we're going to talk about next is divergences and how you can use the RSI in conjunction with price action to get a high probability move to understand exactly what's going to happen next and whether the market's going to reverse. Okay, so we've got the Dogecoin chart up on the 4-hour in this instance, in this example that we're going to use. Haven't pre-looked at this, so forgive me. We're going to look at divergences ourselves. Now, that's the first time that you've heard me mention divergence. What is a bullish divergence and what is a bearish divergence? Because this is where we can really get clues from the RSI. So what is a bullish divergence and what is a bearish divergence? That's what this is, guys. Bearish divergence is when you're in a bullish move and you're putting in higher highs and you're putting in higher lows. You're putting in higher highs. As far as that's concerned, from price action, that's bullish. Now, this is where you get the clues from the RSI. Bottom one's the RSI, and then what's happened here? You've put in a lower high. Now, that lower high is signaling that averaged out over that 14 4-hour period or whatever the session is, that you're losing momentum and the price action is telling a different story. So that's signaling that you're likely to pull back. We'll have a look at some bearish divergences and we'll have a look at some bullish divergences. Now, the way that you measure the bearish divergences from the top, the way that you measure the bullish divergences is from the bottom. So this is price action. And you can see that we're coming down and we're coming down in a bearish move, lower highs, lower lows. And then what's the oscillator, the momentum oscillator telling us? The RSI is put in a higher high. So that's a bullish divergence. So if we just have a quick look on the price chart and see if we can find some now. Like I say, we've got the Dogecoin chart up, we've got the RSI up, and we can have a quick look, see if we can find any. Not one there, not one there. Here's one. This is quite a big one. So, right, okay, this is a good example actually, guys. So you can see, I talk about these descending channels all the time. I haven't talked about them on crypto class, but I talk about these descending channels all the time. What is a descending channel? I'm just digressing away a little bit from the RSI, but I just want to explain the psychology behind a descending channel. A descending channel is signaling exhaustion in a bearish move. When you're putting in lower lows and when you're putting in lower highs, that is showing that the trend is weakening. You're likely to hit a support level. Clues look left. This is a support level. You expected a bounce. So you can identify and you can add all these clues. And if I get enough views on this going into crypto class, we'll be going into more detail over this. But a descending channel signaling exhaustion. You've got this big move to the downside here. This is where the bears have really got control. This is where there's little buyer pressure. And by the way, this is where there's fear in the market. Come down, you put in a lower low, and then that confirms trend reversal. So then you start putting in lower lows, you start putting in lower highs, you're putting in lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, until something happens. Now, this something happened was obvious here because when you look at the RSI, you got a signal. Because what was happening here, the RSI was putting in higher lows and it was putting in higher lows across this channel here. And it was putting in higher highs and it was putting in higher highs. But this is the important thing that we're looking for. This is signaling that there's a lot of buying pressure. This is signaling that there's more buying pressure than what the chart is telling us, which is signaling some kind of a reversal. And look what happened, guys. You got a big pump to the upside here. How big was this pump from the bottom on Dogecoin? That one swing was 17.7%. Right, so there's one example. Let me just zoom in, see if we can find a couple more examples, guys. What I'm going to do for the bearish example, guys, literally, I've just thought, and this is something that's a little bit personal to me, because this is when I actually got out of the crypto market in November 2021. Well, I say I got out of the crypto market. I was in the crypto market, but this is when I decided to convert all of my altcoins into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, and into USDT. Now, was I a genius doing that? I felt like I was at the time, guys, but the USDT that I converted, when Bitcoin hit 40,000, that's when I spent it. Guess what happened? Bitcoin went down to 15,000. So although I done a good thing by not losing 98% of everything by being in altcoins, I did drop on my Bitcoin. I did buy Bitcoin at 40,000 and I did miss the opportunity at 15,000 because I'd bought at 40,000. So I did get hit by Ethereum. I did get hit by Bitcoin. I did manage to get Bitcoin cheaper. But what I'm saying is, it went a lot further. So always prepare for opportunities and always make sure that you've got some kind of cash on the table. God, I do digress sometimes. Apologize for that. So what we'll do is we'll look at the Bitcoin chart. If I can find that here, the Bitcoin chart. Right. Okay. What we're going to do is go on the weekly, because that was when I made my decision, was on the weekly chart. So if we go back down to Bitcoin into 2021, let's have a look. 2021. Here we go. So this was the bearish divergence. Remember, the higher the time frame, the higher the conviction. Why the higher the conviction? The more eyes on the chart. More eyes on the chart, the more buy orders, the more sell orders at certain levels. And when those levels get hit, those levels get hit hard because there's more buy orders and there's more sell orders. So this is the weekly chart, and this was telling us a strong story. It was giving us a big indication that we put in a higher high on the chart. And this is where people thought Bitcoin was going to rocket. Guess what else was happening, guys? Elon Musk was selling his Tesla shares. Jeff Bezos was selling his Amazon shares. And that made me think that we were putting in a weekly divergence. We put in a massive lower high on the RSI, signaling that the buying pressure wasn't there. It wasn't as strong as what it was back here. It was weaker, but the chart was telling us a different story. The chart was telling us a different picture. And I've got more thoughts about the second leg of that as well, guys, because there was so much stimulus going into the market and money print and going into the market. This should have been a lower high and not a higher high because the dollar was manipulated. But we'll go into that a different day. That's how you can use it divergences to your advantage, guys. There's a higher high, there's a lower high, higher the time frame, higher conviction. So there was an example on how we could tell when something was weak, when something was getting weak, using the descending channel, using the RSI. Then when you get hit at a strong support level, the RSI becomes oversold, and you've got a divergence. That is a high probability setup of a big move. So if you want crypto class going into next week, guys, you know what you've got to do. 300 I need. So share it with someone, but make sure you share it with someone that's actually interested, that watches it, because the YouTube algorithm, the way that it works is it wants to keep people on YouTube for as long as possible. So the more watch time is the more that it pushes it out and the more impressions that it pushes out. So share it with any of your friends that want to self-educate, because that's what the type of people that I want in this channel is actually you guys that are watching it. It's the 100 people that are watching it that are going to get value from this, and it's the 100 people that are watching it that are going to have a higher chance of success than just watching, asking for calls, looking for buy orders, looking for sell orders, using leverage. Teach yourself and educate yourself and be able to do this thing yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.